Just to let you guys know, there is an allusion to suicide in this podcast. Hey guys, it's Does It Matter? And
LM the Dream.
And this is a special edition podcast episode. It's actually attempt number 2 at this podcast topic. and it's been, about a week since we tried the first one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been about a week since we tried to do the first one. So we're trying again. And the topic of the day, important bit, is Jesy doing solo music, and specifically the reaction to her doing solo music. To full disclosure, the first attempt was us angrily ranting for an hour. And part of me still wants to post that. But we think that this that we're going to record today might be a more productive way to talk about it. And so we're going to give this a shot. Gotta be honest, I'm still angry. I'm probably still going to come off as angry. And I'm not really looking to hide that because I'm not looking to censor myself to please people that I'm pissed off at.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our take on that. So instead of angry ranting, the format we're kind of going with today is we went onto social media, primarily Twitter, and we looked at all of the comments that made us really angry and took out the specific parts of them to address them here in a more productive way. So we think that will hopefully be a bit more productive. I keep repeating that word, but our hope is to just
clear up some confusion from people who may not know what's going on.
Yeah, our hope is to kind of be more helpful, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Hopefully.
I don't know. We're trying, guys.
Tempting.
Yes. So first off, right off the bat, I'm just going to say something. There were a number of you who reached out to me through alternate means than YouTube. Actually, some of it was on YouTube, but have reached out to me about the Jesy video I posted, the things she said that you chose not to hear. And obviously, if you've seen that video, you know I have the comments off. I've had the comments off the entire time. Because the comments are off, some of you took it upon yourselves to reach out to me in other ways. Some of you were really nice and positive and said really sweet things, and I appreciate that. It means a lot that you kind of went the extra step to share that with me, that you went and found my socials or, the email address I have for the channel or, whatever it was. So I do really appreciate that. There were also a number of you who were negative. And so I just want to address that really quickly, which is that I run the channel the way I want to run the channel, and I am very deliberate and thoughtful with the way that I run the channel and the videos I make and the statements I put out, including on this podcast. So I'm not going to be belittled or condescended to or shamed for the things I do on the channel. I'm proud of what I do on the channel. If I didn't like a video that was up or I wasn't proud of it, A, it wouldn't have gone up, or B, I would have taken it down. So you can all kind of fuck off. Yeah, I'm just not going to be shamed for that. I made the video for a reason. I believe in the video. I feel very passionately about the video. The condescending bullshit can take a hike. You don't have to like the video, but I'm not going to be shamed or belittled. And I just wanted to make that really clear. Okay, so getting that out of the way, I think the next thing to kind of announce, I guess, or not announce, but the next thing to address is that not everything we talk about here today is going to apply to you. So if it doesn't apply to you, then it's not relevant to you, and you don't need to go in the comments and say that you don't do that, because you don't do that. So again, guys, we're addressing a wide variety of reactions, and if it doesn't apply to you, don't be offended by it, because it doesn't apply to you. Yeah. If it does apply to you and you're offended, well, I guess that's what happened. Yeah, I'm not mincing words today. I've been pissed off about this for a very long time. 2 weeks at this point, maybe?
Yeah.
and the anger's not really fading. So I'm just gonna be blunt as can be. That's what's happening here. Yeah, so then that leads to the first blunt part of this. If you're one of those people who has been accusing Jesy of lying about her mental health in order to go solo, that you think she did it for publicity reasons and it wasn't actually a genuine reason, you can all go fuck off. I'm not going to put up with that bullshit on my channel. I'm just not. That's going to get deleted, just so you're all aware. That's not okay. That is never okay to tell someone they're lying about their mental health, to accuse them of lying about their mental health. It's not okay with Jesy. It's not okay with other celebrities. It's not okay in real life with the people that you know. That is absolutely unacceptable, and I will not stand for it to be on my channel. And that's just how I feel. And I'm not interested in trying to convince you that she left for mental health and not to go solo. If you believe that and you still believe that this many weeks later, you can just get the fuck out. I'm not going back and forth about that. That's not a conversation I'm going to have personally.
By the way, guys, if I'm really quiet in this, one, I'm a little out of it today. I'm really tired. I had a really rough week. Two, I stumble with my words when I don't want to say put on the spot, but like when I don't know exactly what I want to say. And so she says a lot better than how I do. So there's that.
Yeah, just to be clear, guys, we talk about all of this stuff before we get on the podcast.
Yeah.
So we're not. So we just know where we're both at. We're not stepping on each other's toes. We're not surprising each other, catching each other off guard, and all of that. So if I was saying something she disagreed with that I knew she disagreed with, A, I would say that, and B, she would say that.
Yeah. I'm not good with putting together a really thought out, like, thorough sentence. I can't do it. So there's that.
Yeah.
Something I'm working on.
Yeah, so just in case you guys, are like, well, Does It Matter is talking a lot, but the Dream hasn't really said anything. It, the sentiment applies no matter who's saying it.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't apply, you'll know.
Yeah. Oh, great. What were we talking about?
I was talking about you can go fuck off if you accuse Jesy of lying about her mental health. I'm not even interested in debating with you. You can just leave.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people accuse Jesy of lying, which is just it's like what you said. It's not okay. Like, you can't. See, here we go again. I don't know what to say. I've seen it a lot on Twitter, especially like deep in like the timeline. And it's just not okay. Like, you can't be going around accusing people of lying when, first of all, if you don't even know them in real life, second off, it's just not okay to do at all. If you don't know the situation, you don't know like them personally, stay out of it. It's their life. That's it. I don't know how else to say that. That's really just, it's not your place to accuse someone of lying, because that's something that you don't lie about, and you don't tell other people that they are lying, because that could cause problems for them.
You're literally gaslighting them.
Yeah, it's not okay.
Yeah, so we just wanted to start the podcast out with that, like right off the bat. You guys can click off, or you can get angry in the comments, and I'm still gonna delete that. And I am going to delete comments like that. And if you have a problem with that, that's too bad. So sad. It's my platform. I get to decide what stays on it. And your First Amendment speech doesn't apply to private companies and private property. So that's just how that works. Sucks for you. Okay. So kind of moving past that, just those just initial kind of disclaimers or thoughts. Like I said, we are going to be talking about a range, I guess, rather, of the reactions from, we just addressed the people who said she was lying, and we'll also be talking about the people who were just like worried about her, right? So like that's a very big range of different reactions that we found just online. So again, some things are going to apply to you, some aren't. Like, we're just talking about the whole scale of it. Moving on to something that I saw a lot. This was like one of the most popular things I saw was that Jesy is still going to get compared to the other girls, and that's why her going solo doesn't make sense. So, a couple points on this. Jessy's issue with being compared to the girls based on the things she's said, which I'm going to stress this a lot. We need to be listening to her. We are not doing that enough, which is why I made that video. So we need to be doing that, and we need to stop pushing our own narrative or the way we see things onto her, because A, it's not helpful, but B, you don't know shit about her mental health or her situation. And then C, I don't want to using the alphabet because that's weirding me out. 3, she is making decisions based on how she views the situation. And honestly, her view of the situation is the only one that matters. You can have your opinion on it, but it's her life, it's her decisions, and she's making those decisions based on what she knows, and she knows a fuck of a lot more than we know. You can say it doesn't make sense, but again, I just really want to stress like that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you think. As maybe odd or mean as that may sound, it's the truth. Number 4 is that her issues with being compared to the girls is primarily physical. That's what she's told us. There may be other things that she doesn't like being compared on, that she just hasn't opened up about. But as far as like we are concerned, what she has said to us is that she does not like being physically compared to them. And that this is where like getting compared, the way that she's going to get compared to the girls still is different. She's no longer going to be ranked within the group. It's not who's hottest, who's thickest, who is the best butt, like, and we can all say like, well, we don't do that, but like we all watch the reactions, like people do that.
Yeah.
So it's like that is something that happens. And I'm going to stress again, like, if they're watching a Jesy Nelson music video, they're not going to pause the music video to pull up a picture of the other 3 girls and then start ranking them based on looks. Like, that's not going to happen. So she's right. Like, she's not going to be compared to the girls in the same way as a solo artist. As far as her getting compared to them in different ways, again, that's not the thing that bothers her as far as we know, as far as what she's talked about. So if that's not an issue for her, then that's not an issue for her. Also, like, just a quick insert here, like, Jessy's not dumb. These points that you guys are making, like, she's not an idiot. So pointing them out to her or like saying them like, duh, why didn't she get this? She knows more than you do. So if she's thinking it's not a problem, there's a reason that she's thinking that. As far as getting compared to the other girls, those comparisons are going to fade because time goes on and she establishes herself individually and the girls establish themselves without her.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff's just going to fade over time. It might not ever completely go away, but it's going to fade. Like, if she makes a name for herself without the group. So she really just kind of has to wait it out.
Yeah, for that point, like artists get paired all the time. It's part of the job. But being compared as a solo artist is very different than being compared as a group artist. From the outside, yeah, it doesn't look great, but what she's struggled with is something that's not going to happen as a solo artist. And if it does, it won't happen as much. So there's that. It's just it's part of the job. So that's another
She
thing.
just like, if she's not standing next to them, that's already 1,000 times an improvement in her eyes.
Yeah.
Because the issue is like literally her standing next to them. And it's like there's a competitiveness in girl groups where like you rank them within the group.
Yeah.
There's no one to rank her with if she's a solo artist. Like, it's just her. No one's going to pause a video of her to comment on a background dancer. Like,
Yeah.
the focus is just going to be on her. And some of you were like, well, that's the thing that you're worried about. But like, that's the benefit, is that they are just going to be focused on her and they're not going to be pitting her against the other girls.
Or there for another girl and
Yeah.
just kind of like have to be there.
Yeah, like
That makes
especially in
sense.
a sense, right, that like a lot of people who drag her in the fandom are stans for one of the other girls or a couple of the other girls, and therefore it's really popular to hate on Jesy and drag her.
Yeah.
Some of you guys, and again, if this doesn't apply to you, you shouldn't be getting offended by me saying this. Some of you guys have dragged her in the past. This is a little off topic, but like have dragged her in the past, especially the last few years, for not writing as much, not being as into the music, not being as into interviews, like just generally having like a more quiet disposition. So the fact that you guys dragged her for that for the last couple years, but now you're dragging her because she's excited and happy about making music again, that's a little, I mean, check yourself.
Yeah.
That's quite hypocritical. To kind of jump down to, she's still going to get compared to other solo artists to just kind of keep our theme going. That's in no way the same as being compared within a group. That is a completely different beast. First of all, that's not her getting compared to the same person every single time. Also, when you compare solo artists, you don't compare them on their looks.
No.
You compare them on their music. So again, not the thing that she's self-conscious about. And then also Jessy's not tied to those people. She doesn't have to go out with them. She doesn't have to be in photo shoots with them. She doesn't have to be by their side 24/7. You know, if people are comparing her to whoever the fuck they're comparing her to, that doesn't really matter.
It'll be like a one and done type of thing.
Yeah, like unless she's starting a rivalry with someone,
Yeah.
like it doesn't matter. That's just women being compared in general.
Which is a different problem.
Yeah, that's a different problem. That's like not an issue with her being a solo artist. That's just a sexist thing. So next topic is that she'll still be trolled, and that Jessy's mental health issues are primarily about trolls. So I saw this a lot as well when we were like going through social media. You're not listening to her, is my response to that concern, which is that she's specifically talking about, like, not that trolls aren't an issue. She's talked about how trolls are an issue, but she internalized the trolls, and she literally just told us this in her post this week. She internalized the trolls, and she started bullying herself back for what they were bullying her for, right? So like they attacked her body, and so she attacked her body. She internalized that, and she bullied herself for it. So trolls are an issue, but trolls are not the be all end all. She has other issues now. They've evolved, and that's just something to kind of keep in mind, that like if in her head not standing next to the other girls helps her, it doesn't really matter what's said online, whether it changes or not, because in her head it did change, and that means that mentally it made her feel better.
Yeah.
It's not really about the reality of it. It's how she perceives it that matters. And if she perceives that not standing next to the other girls helps her, then it does. That's how mental health works. If it causes a shift in her brain for the better, then it causes a shift in her brain for the better.
It might not seem logical, but that might be what works.
Right. You know, because I mean, like, it's not super logical. I mean, it sounds illogical, but like, it's true. Like, mental health is a mind game that you play with yourself, right? Like, her issue isn't just online trolls. Like, she has mental health issues. Did it stem from the trolls? Yeah, she talked to us about that. That's what Odd One Out is about. But she has mental health issues now. It's not like get rid of the trolls, get rid of her mental health issues.
Yeah, like the damage is done.
Yeah, like the damage is done. Like now she just has to deal with both. So she can't do anything about the trolls, but she can do something about her mental health, and that's what she's doing right now. So like it's not a matter of like, oh, she's going to escape trolls. Like she's got to work on the things she can control, and what she can control is the state of her mental health. And that's kind of what I mean when I say you're not listening to her. Like she's told us that she has mental health issues. Like the panic attack she had in September, that wasn't caused by trolls. Like she has different triggers now. That this is more complicated than trolls. So trying to simplify it to that and then invalidate what she's saying because you simplified it, kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to a lot of you guys are concerned about Twitter. Is she going to get a Twitter? I mean, that's not really the concern right now. You know, like this is still kind of early stages of everything. She knows Twitter is bad for her. So I highly doubt that she would get back on Twitter herself. That seems very counterproductive to everything she's said about Twitter. My guess is that if she needed to be on Twitter for career reasons, that she'd have a team run it the same way that a team runs Little Mix's current Twitter. So I don't really think that that's something we all need to be super concerned about. I think that's something we just trust her on, that she knows that she shouldn't be on Twitter.
She knows like what her limits are now, and she knows that Twitter is one of those things that she can't cross. So
Yeah, that's her business, that's her decision, and we just got to trust her on that. Like there's not much of a discussion to really be had on it. Like you can be worried about it and not want her to come on. I don't want her to come on to Twitter. I want her to stay off of it. But like that's it's not a reason to like be concerned about her going solo. That's a very easy situation of she just doesn't run the account. Which is not going to be new to her. She doesn't run the account right now, or she didn't run the account when she was in Little Mix. So she's not like alien to this idea that someone else could do it for her. Going on to, I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. The weirdness on social media between the girls. We said this last time that we don't like to speculate, and so we're not going to this time. Yeah, the vibes are off. I think that's how I described it last time, or I described it that way somewhere. The vibes are off. There's nothing else to say about that. We
that's it.
don't know why. We don't know anything about it. We don't have any right to be pretending that we do or to be speculating about what's happening. If the girls wanted us to know, we would know.
Yeah.
Like, and this idea that like, well, their friendship is part of their brand and that's why a lot of people love them, and you know the public thought that they were really close and we want them to be friends and da 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 da. And it's kind of like, okay, but that doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they're human beings. They were slash are real friends for 9.5 years, and friendships are complicated. Relationships in general are complicated. Them pretending that everything is like fine and dandy, they could do that. They're choosing not to, but like they're also choosing not to comment. So all of them are choosing not to comment. And so while in the past they have invited us into their friendship, we're not invited right now, so we can all get the fuck out.
Yeah, I'd also rather like not have anything said than be lied to. So if that makes sense, like in a way, like I'm okay with like them not touching on it because I'd rather it be like no comment than like yeah everything's fine.
Yeah, like it's just they're human beings. That's not me saying that they weren't ever super close friends. They obviously were, and they might still be because again, we don't know shit. All we know is they're not publicly choosing to comment. That's literally all we know. So this like kind of over concerning and like dissecting every little thing they do on social media, like yes, the vibes are off. Move on. Like until the girls decide to comment on it, it doesn't matter. And if there are people or fans who think that the vibes aren't off, or they're coming up with like reasons that you don't agree with for why the vibes are off, that doesn't matter either because none of us know. Your theory isn't any better than their theory, and there's no benefit to trying to correct someone about it, especially not publicly. If you're like having this huge discussion on Twitter or Instagram or in YouTube comments about like the validity of their friendship and dissecting all of these things, you're just drawing negative attention to them. Like if you're having these discussions under uh like YouTube reaction videos, do you want to know who's seeing that? It's the reactor. And you want to know what that reactor's going to do? They're going to go on to their next reaction video about Little Mix and talk about it. And then that means that anyone who didn't read your comments last time just watched the reactor say it. So, like, that's literally how gossip goes. Like, that's literally how that works. You're feeding into a conversation that doesn't need to be had because we don't know anything about it. And the girls obviously don't want us to be talking about it, or else they would be talking about it. They clearly want it to remain private. We should respect that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just all there is to it. Like, just respect the girls.
Yeah. Like, we don't know what happens behind closed doors. We don't know them in real life. So there could be more, there could be less. We don't know. And that's just what we have to, like, deal with.
And like, just because like you want it to like be all fixed and better, like that's what you want. What we want shouldn't factor into what they're doing in their personal lives. So like, we just need to keep that in mind, that like they should not be dictating their lives based on our wants from them. That's really bullshit. So we don't know what's happening, and we all just need to keep that in mind and stop bringing negative attention to it. And it doesn't matter what other fans' theories are on it. We just need to be respectful of the girls. Still on the social media topic, some people are upset that she didn't acknowledge Sweet Melody getting to #1 or Always Be Together. First of all, a lot of these things were done on Twitter. She does not have Twitter. So just keep that in mind, guys. Like, when you do projects like trend things, she can't see it. She doesn't know. On the off chance it made it over to Instagram and she had the potential to see it, she also does not owe us that. If you only did those things for a notice, then that's a little yikes. Also, like, those things are really sweet, right? And I ran an entire freaking 2-week campaign about getting Sweet Melody to #1 for all 4 of them. But ultimately, like, she's trying to move on with her life. And so we can do those things and that's fine. I mean, we shouldn't continue to do them, but like, when she immediately left, that was fine as like a goodbye to her as far as like her time in Little Mix. But she doesn't owe us like a response to that. That, like, what we did was help Little Mix. We got Little Mix songs to #1. We supported Little Mix's music. She's not in Little Mix anymore. So it's really sweet that we did those things, and it's really nice that the last song she was on got to #1, but ultimately that's not her, like, that's not hers anymore. So she doesn't owe us like a comment on it. Moving on to one of the more extreme reactions. She betrayed the girls and the fans.
No.
Yeah. That sums it up. To expand on that, I mean, just no. That's not an expansion. How to address this? You are never betraying someone for prioritizing your own mental health. That's not a thing. What we do not do is shame people for putting themselves first. That's a no. That's a hard no. And same thing with like, the leaving wasn't a betrayal and the solo music isn't a betrayal. She did not lie to us. She did not say she was leaving music. She didn't even say she was leaving the spotlight. She has done nothing shady towards the girls. She has said nothing. She has done nothing. There's been no, push a 5th member off of a ledge during a performance. Like, there is no shade happening. She's literally just living her life. So there's no betrayal. There's no shade. There's no shiftiness. There's no snide remarks or subtle digs. She is being herself. She is living her life. She is doing what makes her happy. If that is betraying Little Mix and the fans, I have no words for that. I can't see that perspective, and I just have no words for that.
Yeah.
And to kind of jump off of that as well, like, it is not her fault that Little Mix are quiet right now. It is not her fault that they're not promoting confetti or releasing new singles. She's not involved anymore. They can do whatever the fuck they want with that. They're choosing not to. That's their choice. They could very easily take the next single off Confetti, put a feature on her verse, and be done with it. In fact, they used to do it all of the time when she was in the group. They have options. They're choosing not to utilize them. That's their choice. But she is not involved in the decision making for Little Mix anymore. That's not her business. If the girls are quiet, if they're not doing things as a group, if they're not releasing music, that's on them.
She has no say in it.
She she literally has no say in it. So kind of fucked up to be accusing her of like ruining an era. Like, is it sad that this era isn't what we all wanted it to be? Sure, it is. But did you all want her to drive herself to the point of no return? Is that the era you wanted?
Another thing, because I don't know if you're gonna address this. I don't remember if this was in your list. But everybody's saying that Jesy betrayed the group by leaving and doing her own thing, and for whatever reason that people keep saying. But if she betrayed, I say in loose quotations, them for leaving, then Little Mix also betrayed because they said that they weren't going to continue on without a member, and here they are. So you can't just blame one, you have to blame both if you're going to say that one of them betrayed them, you or whatever.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Like the hypocrisy, like because mixers didn't want to lose Little Mix, they just conveniently forgot that Little Mix said for 9.5 years that they would never continue as a trio, that if they ever lost a member, that would be it. Yeah, if you're not giving Jesy that same leeway, that's a lot of hypocritical bullshit. You know, her leaving and what they said for 9.5 years should have meant the end of Little Mix. They continued on as a trio. That's fine. We're all happy about that. But we don't get to then turn around and accuse Jesy of betraying everything they stood for because she's making solo music. So either you're mad at them both or stop talking shit about Jesy for that.
Yeah.
As far as moving on too soon, this is something else I saw a lot. Some of it was a little bit more on the extreme side. Some of it was more just out of concern. So I just would like to point out, I think I talked about this the first time in the first attempt that we made at this podcast. I think there's like a huge misunderstanding of what it means to work on your mental health. Like a lack of education of what that actually looks like, because it's not sitting at home twiddling your thumbs for 6 months to a year. That's a very bad way to work on your mental health. Yeah, no, that's not good. Especially not in a pandemic where she can't see anyone she loves.
Yeah.
And she can't go out and do things that make her happy. That's a very bad idea. That's how you make your mental health worse. So just to put it in perspective for you guys, because I don't think we're looking at it this way, Jesy left the only job she has ever known for the last 10 years, her dream job with people she loved at a really awful time, which should speak to how bad she needed to leave. Like she couldn't even wait for Confetti to come out, right? Like it was so bad she had to pull out immediately. And then she suddenly is almost 30 years old, has no purpose in life, doesn't know what she's going to do, doesn't know if she can even continue to do music and to do the things that she loves. That's a really scary place to be. Like, especially like alone in the middle of a pandemic, that's yikes. I don't know what I'm like trying to get. Like, I mean, I'm 24 and I still don't know where I'm trying to go in life, and I have anxiety about it daily. I can't imagine giving up everything I wanted in life that I was succeeding at and then sitting by myself with my thoughts being like, Welp, what now? So again, just like start off with that perspective to look at it that way. That's not necessarily too soon. Like she's got to do what's right for her, and that the only benefit to stewing around in it for 6 months to a year is for optics. And if we know anything about Jesy, it's that fuck optics. So there's that side of it. The other side of it is that there seems to be this idea that like she can't work on her mental health or spend time with loved ones and make music, as if like they're at odds with each other, and they're not. They're not mutually exclusive. She can do all of those things at one time. If music is what makes her happy, which according to the picture she posted today of her in the studio smiling, captioning it "my happy place," I'm gonna say it does. If music is what makes her happy, then that's really good for her, actually. Like, for her to be reclaiming something that she's lost passion for over the years because of the situation she was in, that's good for her mental health. To be re-engaging in that stuff, to be reclaiming it, to be finding joy again in things that she used to love, that's all positive. That's what she should be doing. That's only going to help her. Like the actual act of making music, she's right on track. She's doing what she should be doing.
And to kind of give like a little example that like isn't Jesy, because I feel like a lot of people are having a hard time like really seeing it, like what you said.
Yeah, like they're having a hard time putting it in perspective.
Yeah, like here's like a tiny little personal story from me, anecdote if you will. I'm getting fancy now. Um, when I was at my lowest and I wasn't like showing up to school and I was almost held back because of it, I had quit dance for like however many months because it was like the end of the year. I quit dance, and then a few months later, I moved. Well, like I didn't like move schools, but like I started going to a different school because that was like the year that you'd move. I um, started going to a new dance studio, and not only did I go to a new dance studio, I went into the competition dance team. Like I went
Yeah,
from
like you put a lot of pressure on yourself.
yeah, I went from dancing. I mean, I was on that competition team, but it was a very small one. It wasn't like an actual one.
More recreational.
Yeah, because they didn't believe in competition. Um, I was going from like a few classes a week, and then all of a sudden nothing for like I want to say like 2-3 months, and then all of a sudden I had dance every day, and on top of regular classes, on top of classes at school, and on top of competition, I was doing the Nutcracker, and in a way, that's what helped me. So that can help you, which I don't think a lot of people are seeing because you kind of make these like assumptions and stereotypes. And for me, sitting at home and in my thoughts didn't help me. That's what made me worse. Going and like doing the stuff that I liked, that's what helped me. So I don't know if that'll help people see it a little bit differently, but I did the exact same thing that Jesy did, but with dance, and it really helped me.
Yeah, I think like we get stuck in this idea of like doing it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a right way. Like you just got to do it in the way that works for you. And if going back to something within a few months works, then it works. I don't know why we're going to punish someone for that.
Yeah.
Okay, I saw a lot of I wanted her to come back to Little Mix. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us did. That doesn't really matter. That sounds a little harsh, but I'm just kind of tired of seeing all of this bullshit all the time on social media and in my comment sections, to be honest. What we want doesn't matter. Like, Jesy needs to do what's best for her, and obviously, Little Mix isn't it. You know, if she thought that she could return to Little Mix, she'd be on a hiatus and not officially gone.
Mm-hmm.
I think we just need to keep that in mind, that like her mental health is more important than what we want from her. And if we say we're going to support her, then that means that we put her above how we feel about it. And if you can't do that, then you do kind of just have to get out. She's not. I mean, she literally said it in her post that she needs to do things that make her happy and stop trying to like stop focusing on pleasing other people. That includes us, guys.
Yeah.
That includes us. We troll her more than trolls do.
Yeah.
Honestly, this fandom treats her like shit.
Yeah, I really do.
Did anyone see that meme? Or I don't know if it technically counts as a meme. Did anyone see that post that went around Twitter that was like Jesy to Mixers, Mixers to Jesy, and like the one that was like the one that was like Jesy to Mixers was like this really adorable tiny fish with like the biggest eyes, like just like looking adorable, and then like Mixers to Jesy was like a shark smirking. That's very accurate.
It really is.
And I don't mean to like be saying like Jessy's never done a problematic thing. That's obviously not true. I've hosted discussions on stuff like that. However, this mental health bullshit, this isn't it. This is not problematic. This is not something you get to call her out on. She's doing it right. She's doing it for herself. She's not doing anything wrong right now. There's nothing problematic about what she's doing. There's no calling her out on this. She's in the right.
Yeah.
Okay, I saw a lot of the timing is suspicious. I'm going to say if you think it's suspicious, you weren't listening.
Yeah.
And here's why. She said in her post that being in the band had recently taken a toll on her mental health. So if you're like, wow, it was really sudden, yes, she told us that. So again, if you skipped over that part, that's on you, not her. And that does mean that if you go back a few months, like earlier into lockdown, that she was saying positive things about being in the group. That's how that works. If it's a sudden decision, then you can do that. It means it wasn't planned, which clearly is the case. And that's what Jesy told us. So again, if you thought it was sus, you weren't listening. And we already talked about this idea of her moving on too soon. That falls into this idea of the timing being sus. It's not sus. If you look at her like a human being, it makes a hell of a lot of sense.
Yeah. It's not suspicious. Is it bad timing? Of course, because she didn't plan for this. Nobody planned for this, but it's not suspicious.
Yeah, it's not suspicious. There's no like, ooh, did she lie to us? Like, everyone can fuck off with that. Absolutely everyone. I'm not putting up with that.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't mean that in like I can change everyone's mind. I just mean like I have control over my own platform, and if you're gonna do that fucking shit, you can get out. In fact, I will force you out. I will delete shit like that. Also, I'd like to point out like this idea of timing is sus, or like how could she make this like sudden decision? She's told us that this isn't the first time she's considered leaving Little Mix. This isn't a new concept to her. This is not groundbreaking. She's had this conversation with herself before. She made the opposite decision. She recently had it again, and this time she chose to leave. This isn't like out of nowhere. Again, we weren't listening to her. She told us that she'd thought about it before.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it was back in 2014. She's still already had the top like conversation. It's not new to her. Again, like this goes back to like this black and white idea. Either it's for mental health or it's to go solo. Like you can't, like there's no in between. She can leave for her mental health and then want to do her own thing, and that doesn't, and one doesn't invalidate the other. It's not this like weird dichotomy, if that's like the right word to use. I don't know. Like that's just like that's a very like very problematic way to consider it. Yeah, I don't know that I'm going to be able to explain that better.
Yeah, that's hard.
Kind of having to do, I guess, a little bit with the timing being sus. Maybe that's not a good transition. But moving on to this, this like whole comparison to Camilla and Zayn, I'm calling bullshit. I call bullshit on it happening when she left. I call bullshit on it now that she's doing music. First of all, why are we hating on Zayn and Camilla? Like, again, actually, this is a good transition. This goes back to this idea that like neither of those two left for their mental health just because they went back to music. Again, these things are not mutually exclusive, guys. If you're not happy in the situation you're in and that takes a toll on your mental health, then it does. that like it's not like this like one or the other thing that you can only do, you can only feel one way or only have one motivation. So I call bullshit on all of that. Stop hating on them for that. Like you're just invalidating people's mental health. I don't know the full stories to those, so like I'm not going to claim to. However, again, invalidating people's mental health because it doesn't make sense to you or you don't like the timeline, again, fuck off. So I guess that is the transition that works. On the other side of it too, like the fandoms way they approached that was even kind of fucked up. Uh, and I'm swearing a lot intentionally, guys. Like, there's a lot of people being like, I defended her, saying that she wouldn't pull a Zayn, that like she wouldn't turn around and start doing solo music immediately. Why are you defending that? Why is that something that needs to be defended? Like, what I found in a lot of these like things that like these like conversations going back and forth on Twitter was fans like mixers trying to hold some like upper ground, some moral high ground over other fandoms. That's a little bullshit. Um because you thought Jesy wasn't going to make solo music, that makes Little Mix better than the other group somehow. It makes them splitting up as far as like one member leaving somehow like different or like morally superior to the other groups because they had less amicable splits. That's like a load of shit. I don't have time for that. Like you shouldn't be defending that. Also, like that's not concern for Jesy. Like that's concern for optics. Like that's some really bullshit stuff right there. That really pisses me off. I got to be honest.
Yeah. It's
Like, that
like,
has nothing to do with Jesy and her mental health.
no. It's three different people, three different groups. They're all going to have different reasons to leave. There's no reason to even be comparing them in the first place. And just that's it. Like, let it be. I don't know if there's a nice, like, a good way to say that, but that's how I'm thinking.
Yeah, like it's just it's as simple as like if you're upset about that stuff because of the way it looks, I'd re-examine that thought process.
Yeah, in reality, like, nobody really cares. Like, that kind of sounds kind of harsh, but like, outside of like the fandom, nobody really cares. They're gonna know for a second and then be like, okay, like, they're not gonna be sitting thinking about that for years.
Yeah, it's really not important, especially like in the grand scheme of how important mental health is. That's really not important.
Yeah.
Which moving on, this moves us on nicely to like what will or does the public think, right? Again, this idea of optics. This matters very little when on the opposite side of it is someone's mental health.
Yeah.
Like we really need to keep this in mind, guys. Like the I'm going to have to put a trigger warning on this. The worst case scenario on the side of mental health is Jesy dead. Like we really do need to keep that perspective in mind when we talk about this stuff. And I'm not saying that she was suicidal and that's why she left. I'm just pointing out that if you take someone who's mentally not okay and you force them to push themselves to their limits, they break. We all break. We have a limit. We have a breaking point. And that breaking point, that final breaking point, is dead.
Yeah, it's not something like lighthearted that like you're just kind of like no.
Yeah, like the options weren't like she stays in Little Mix and toughs it out or she leaves. Like it's like she stays in Little Mix and toughs it out and something horrendous happens.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if something horrendous takes another 6 years or 4 months. Like that's the stakes we're talking about. And I don't think we acknowledge that.
No.
So we really have to put that in perspective. What radio hosts or the general public think about like her going solo so quick, or also, guys, she's not going solo. She already left. She's just making music.
Yeah.
What the public thinks about that, like whether they expected or didn't expect it, that really matters like not one iota in comparison to the other side of it. And I can't stress that enough. Like the perception, the optics of this, the like, oh, well, what does it say that like they're not interacting on social or like she's like doing this so quickly or whatever. Like the optics of all that stuff, it literally means nothing. Like you really have to keep in mind that like this could have turned out so awful. We could be having a completely different conversation. And like that we just need to keep that in mind. And that also kind of goes back to what Jesy said in her letter. She wants to stop focusing on making other people happy. So ignoring the optics of it, kind of the whole fucking point. Moving on to the next one of, I'm sure a lot of you are having this thought right now. I'm allowed to have an opinion. Yes, you are. What you do with that opinion matters.
Yeah.
If you are going on Twitter or YouTube or Instagram or other public platforms and gossiping and speculating and continuing a negative conversation about this and like bringing in other fandoms and causing Jesy's name to trend so that people can click on it and read all of your ridiculous tweets on the subject, because guys, the ones that go to the top are the extreme ones. That matters. The tabloids and the news sources reported on her leaving the way they did because you all did what you did. They quote you and they get their headlines from you. So reactors get their information from you. We as a fandom and the way we react to things and the way we talk about things influences the way the outside world talks about them and reacts to them. And we need to keep that in mind. That matters. Also, negative attention is negative attention. If you can't let this go, if you can't just either shut up about it or be positive about it, then it's negative attention. It doesn't matter where it is. That's still what it is. There's no neutral attention. It's positive or it's negative. If what you're saying has no positive benefit, it's negative.
Yeah.
Also, like, as fans, we are held to a higher standard than the general public is. The general public is going to think whatever they want because they don't know shit about the girls or Jesy or like any of that. But we do. We are scarily obsessed with them. We don't know everything. We absolutely do not know everything. We know a fuck of a lot more than the general public does, and that means that we are held to a higher standard. We claim to support them. That means we are held to a higher standard. That means that what you do with your opinion is held to a higher standard. There's a decency level that you should be meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, so this to go back on this extreme of, right, of she's not actually working on her mental health and that was a lie. Again, fuck you. And also, yeah, again, if you're listening to her, she very clearly is working on her mental health. She's giving us status updates through her Instagram posts, and if you're not seeing that, you're not listening. I'll actually pull up her Instagram right now and I'll explain some of that to you guys. Maybe some of you guys just weren't really paying attention. Maybe some of you guys don't have social and so you didn't know about it. I know there are a lot of you who don't have social. And so, let's just kind of break this down a bit. And again, this is not speculation, right? We're going to take exactly from what she does and says. Like, we're just going to pull out the very like obvious, cannot be mistaken things that she has said. So literally since the time she's gotten back, she has only had her natural curls. She's got some extensions in, but the curls are natural. They're her curls. Some of you may not have been able to watch Odd One Out, but if you were and you were paying attention, then you will know that her natural curls and her frizzy hair is an insecurity of hers. So this is not a coincidence. This is not a new fashion choice. This is Jesy embracing something that she used to be insecure about. It's not an accident that she keeps talking about her hair in her Instagram stories or in her captions. First off, she's already working on a body image issue. And then we can move on to, she is still posting some of these glam shots, which some of you are upset with. If she wants to dress up and post a glam shot, like, you guys have never wanted to dress up to feel better, especially on lockdown. Has no one dressed up and put on like a ridiculous outfit and like fancy shoes and like sat at home during
I
lockdown.
did that last weekend. Like,
I do that. Like, there's nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. Like, all I do is sit around in lounge clothes, and then I look at myself, and I think I look like I'm like hating on myself in the mirror for looking like trash. Like, you can't tell me none of you have dressed up in lockdown for the sake of dressing up and feeling better about yourself. The amount I dress up to go to the grocery store, guys, unreasonable. So like if she wants to dress up and be a little bit glamorous instead of staying in like a sports bra and whatever else she's wearing, like get off her back about it. Now we also have, she posted in one of her glam shots, she posted the caption, "What's meant for you will always be for you." Now, at the time, we didn't really know what that meant. And this is one where you don't want to kind of speculate too much on it. But considering where we ended up, which was in the studio making music, we could infer that she was talking about your dreams and your talents and what you do in life and what you work for. And I say that because the uh, next couple, like one of the next posts, is she took a picture of something she saw in her neighborhood, and it says, "If you can dream, then anything is possible." And her caption is, "You can do anything you want in life if you believe it enough. I saw this today and it really took me back to being a teenager. I remember getting pulled into my head teacher's office and she said to me, 'So, Jesy, what do you plan on doing when you leave school?' I said, 'Well, hopefully something to do with performing as that's what I'm passionate about.' She then said, 'I think we need to be a bit more realistic as that's not going to happen.' I could have gone away from that and genuinely believed what she said, but I didn't. It pushed me even more to prove her wrong. Don't ever let someone crush your dream or tell you what you can and can't achieve. You can do anything you want if you put your mind to it and believe it enough, and that's the truth. Fear can sometimes get the better of us, and it can stop us from what we really want. Stop us from going for what we really want. Turn that fear into faith and have faith that you will achieve anything you put your mind to. Believe in you." All right, so what we can take from that is Jesy is thinking about performing. She's thinking about music. She's thinking about her dreams. She's thinking about how she shouldn't give up on her dreams. Pretty clear sign of what's to come, if you ask me. That's on February 12th. And the next time she posts on February 16th, and that is her story that caused a bunch of controversy about her going to the studio. Don't know who would really be surprised by that based on the post right before it, but we were. Yeah, so she goes to the studio. Again, curly hair out, guys. Literally not a picture, not a story without her curly hair since she came back. Also, she got a bit of her X Factor style back too, which is kind of cute to see. Right, so then we have the post about her being in the studio. Now we have some cute pictures, right, of her doing her glam shots, being in the sunshine, enjoying the nice weather. And then we have an unplanned post from her where she posted a picture of herself, reposted a picture that she posted, if I recall correctly, in like late 2016, early 2017. And it's like a post gym workout pic of her on the floor with her ribs scarily showing and a hand over her face, looking not quite excited to be at the gym. And she says, "I just saw this picture pop up on my feed and it made me feel so sad. On the day this picture was taken, I remember going to the gym with my manager and I stood in the mirror and I said, 'God, I'm so fat. I just want my legs to be like this.' And I pulled my skin around to try and create a thigh gap because I genuinely believed that being skinny would make me happier. And even when I got to a size 8 from starving myself, I still wasn't happy. I mentally bullied myself every day to try to please other people. It's taken me 10 years to realize that I'm the only one I need to please. As humans, we find it easy to pay other people compliments, but yet we find it so hard to be kind to ourselves because it's so much easier to pick ourselves apart than to find the things we love about ourselves. So if you're someone who is feeling like I was, please don't waste years of your life seeking approval from others. Seek approval from yourself. Be your number one fan. You are the one in control of your happiness, and you are the only one that's you, and you are the only one of you in this world, and that's pretty fucking powerful." So what we can take from this is that she didn't share an odd one out, that she was still feeling this way in late 2016, early 2017. And odd one out, she kind of made it seem like, she got past 2014, everything was dandy. So this tells us She still had disordered eating in the Glory Days era. This tells us that she internalized all of what was being said about her, and now she is one of her biggest bullies. This tells us that she spiraled into thinking that if she just lost enough weight, she would be happy. This tells us that making odd one out, she wasn't fixed, because she says it's taken me 10 years to realize this. Odd one out was, I mean, when, at the time she was making it, it's probably like 2 years now, maybe like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Again, guys, without even speculating, just taking directly from her words, this is already something new that we know. This is something new that she's told us. Going backwards a little bit, because I forgot to mention this because it was part of a story, and so I'm not staring at it. That rant she went on about Instagram filters, it was cute. It was funny. I think we all missed the meaning behind it, which is that Jesy was playing with filters on Instagram, and she noticed that they were changing her face. And she didn't like that they were changing her face. And so she went on Instagram to be like, why do you keep changing my nose? I like my nose the way it is. Why do people think that like a narrow nose is what's beautiful? And then she told us all to embrace our noses. That's not insignificant. She's being aware of what social media does to her face, about what she does to her face when she uses filters and how it makes her feel. And the message she came out with that was, I like my nose. Why are you changing it? We have her post here from the other day, posing in like really baggy pants and like a varsity jacket and what looks like maybe like a sports bra or something. And she captions it, I like boys' clothes. Again, she's going back. This is like really an X Factor style choice for her. Like if you go back to what she looked like in the early days of X Factor, like this is the type of clothing she would wear. And again, like it's just kind of going back to this idea of like she's now wearing what she wants, right? Like who cares if other people didn't like it? She likes it, and so she's wearing it. Again, this is positive. She's being mindful of these things. Those are good signs. That doesn't mean she's fixed or better. It just means that she is indeed working on herself. And then today, she posted a picture of herself in the studio with the two producers, and she says, she captions it, my happy place. I'd like to point out, and we actually were discussing this before we hit record, I don't know that I can remember the last time she referred to somewhere that was her happy place that wasn't the stage. So the fact that right now she's so happy to be making music that she's saying that is kind of a big deal. So these are just a few of her posts, guys, since she came back. And I just wanted to kind of go through it because either for you guys that don't have social media and haven't seen it, or maybe some of you who just haven't really thought about this, you know, you're not entitled to proof that she's working on herself. You're not entitled to an update on her mental health. However, if you're paying attention to her, she's kind of giving you one, and it's been positive so far. And these are kind of the things that I mean when I say you're not listening to her. You know, before you accuse her of things, or you know, that she's lying, or that she betrayed people by saying, but because you think she lied. I'm seeing someone who's being very thoughtful and mindful and self-aware, and she's doing it very openly, and a lot of respect to her for that. She does not have to be being open with us about these things, about like, you know, posting about, you know, how she hated herself and she starved herself and all of that. She does not have to be telling us that. And she's doing it because she's going on this journey and she wants to help people while she does it. And that's super sweet of her, but she absolutely does not have to be doing that. And sorry, guys, I pulled the mic away from my mouth for a second. She does not have to be doing that. And to be honest, it would probably be easier for her if she was keeping this all closer to her chest. But she just wants other people to feel good and be happy. And so she's not. And attacking her for that is a little bullshit.
Yeah.
Kind of spawning off of that, I've also seen she's too active on Instagram now. My response to that is you don't get to decide what's too active. That's her job because she's the only one that knows her mental health and her boundaries. Also, I would like you to consider, before you attack her for it, the fact that for the first time in years, she's active on Instagram. Sorry, did I say Twitter? I meant Instagram. She's active on Instagram because she wants to be, and not because someone told her to be or because a contract said she had to. She's just literally every post she makes is because she wants to. Let's take a moment to take that in. And then also, like, guys, that's not going to last forever. She's not going to be this active the way she is right now forever. Just enjoy it while it lasts. Like, eventually she's going to want to step back from it and she'll post less frequently. And that's totally fine. But, like, don't attack her for how much she's posting right now. Just enjoy it. Like, it's not going to stay this way forever.
It's her life. Honestly, just leave her alone. Let her do what she wants. Like, that's really it. Like, just leave her alone.
So much of this is truly just like respect her as a human being.
Yeah, like,
and there's only so many ways we can frame that.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of that, I see a lot of people, even the well-intentioned ones, saying like she left because she didn't want to be in this lifestyle. She didn't, she couldn't handle the industry. She wanted to step back from the spotlight or from fame. She never said that. Literally, the words never came out of her mouth. It's not in her letter. It didn't come out of her mouth. It didn't come out of Little Mix's mouth. You guys all forced those words into her mouth. She did not say them. You just decided that's what she meant, and it clearly wasn't what she meant, and that's on you guys.
Yeah.
So blaming her because you misunderstood her, not sure how that's her fault. And some of you guys probably just got that impression because other people were talking about it that way. And again, this is what I mean by like negative attention is negative attention. That's all you guys. That was something you did. She never said that.
Yeah.
And also, stepping out of the spotlight isn't the answer if music is what she loves. If performing is what she loves. Running from your problems is not a fix. That's not a solution. So going to live as a hermit for the rest of her life and not doing anything she loves, not seeing how any of you thought that was a good idea.
Yeah.
Or that would help her mental health. Really not seeing that. We have the I know what it's like because I have blank people. Welcome. No, you don't. Lots of reasons why. But so really, I think, just sum it up, people with similar mental health issues or just mental health in general, but primarily like similar mental health issues, because mental health is like the different illnesses you can have is broad. But so like speaking on eating disorders, anxiety, depression, let's kind of maybe stay in that realm. We share symptoms. We share generalized feelings. We do not share causes, traumatic experiences, triggers, or coping methods, which means you don't know shit. You can feel connected to her. You can feel like some of the things she says and does resonates with you. You know nothing about her mental health, though. None of us have been through the experiences she have. We can't meet the first standard of be an international pop star that won the X Factor with 3 other girls. Literally can't hit the first level. Nowhere near the first level. We all fall way short.
Yeah.
Which automatically means that none of us can claim to know what she's going through or how she feels or what her mental health is like. We literally can't even begin to pretend that we have any idea of what she's gone through. So I'm just going to call bullshit on that. It doesn't mean that you don't have that mental illness or those experiences. It just means that your experiences aren't hers, and pretending they are is a disrespectful, but also just a bit icky, to be honest.
Yeah.
Hopefully we covered some of these major ones, and hopefully this was a more productive way to talk about this than us just ranting for an hour about how upset we were. But just to be clear, I am still angry enough to do that episode again and re-rant for an hour.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really can't stress enough that, like, I said this in the original, like the first attempt we made at this podcast on this topic, and I'm gonna say it again. If you can't get over this, if you can't support her, if you think so low of her that you think she lied and manipulated fans into thinking that she had mental health issues in order to go solo, leave. Get the fuck out. Don't support her. Forget everyone telling you that you have to support Jesy if you're a Little Mix stan. Get out.
Yeah.
And the takeaway, I guess, really is just like think about her more as a human being. I really feel like that's what's lacking in this fandom is we're really not thinking of her that way, and it's showing. Also, let's not believe every tabloid rumor that ever existed. We've only been told 1,000 times by every celebrity that the tabloids are bullshit. So let's not base entire fan theories and conspiracies on them. I can't believe we forgot this one. This one is so obvious.
I know.
Okay, guys, so last one is you're just worried about her. You love her and you're worried about her, and you're worried she might have not thought it through, or that she's moving too fast, or that maybe she doesn't realize that some of these things are not going to go away. It's totally fine to be worried about her. I think we would both be lying. Correct me if I'm wrong if we said that we weren't a little bit worried.
Yeah.
You know, obviously she's trying out something new and none of us know how it's going to go. But at the end of the day, we just have to trust her. She knows her mental health better than we do. And the most helpful thing we can do is just support her and be positive. That's really it. You know, we can be worried, but talking about the fact that we're worried or questioning her decisions publicly, again, negative attention is negative attention. It doesn't matter if you have good intentions or not. So it's better for us to just be positive and happy for her and enjoy the ride because we don't actually know where this is going. A lot of you are jumping the gun and talking about tour and albums and years in the future. And she could make a song and then decide that that's it.
Yeah.
We don't know what's happening. I just want to kind of do a little bit of like a pause, take a deep breath moment as far as that's concerned. And let's just be happy and go along for the ride and support her because whether it turns out to be a really positive experience or it turns out to be a struggle, she's just going to need support and love. And we can do that. That's one of the things we can control. And so that's what we should do.
Yeah.
We really tried to make this more productive. We felt really strongly that we needed to address this and you know we didn't know the best way to do it. Hopefully that this was better than the last one. The angry part of me still wants us to post the last one, but I think ultimately that's not smart, so you guys will probably never see the light of day on that one, but hopefully this is just more productive. That's kind of like the whole reasoning to it is to address multiple aspects of the reaction to you know Jesy making music and to give our thoughts on it. And if you're about to post in the comments that you're upset with our thoughts, I'd just like to point out that you clicked on this video.
It's true.
Yeah, so that is our thoughts on this. We feel very passionately about this. I will continue to have a very hard line on this personally. This was much more subdued than the last attempt at this. But if you still have a problem with anything that I said today, stop watching my videos, stop commenting, get off my channel.
Yeah.
This isn't a difference of an opinion thing. I feel very, very passionately about mental health, and the way that this fandom reacted, especially the more extreme reactions, is really fucked up and not okay. We didn't talk about that quite as much as we did the last time because we were trying to be more productive, but I do want to include it because I do want to get across like how seriously that I take this, we both I think take this.
Yeah.
And what happened is just not okay. And what's been happening today, for you guys that don't know, I think you're probably going to be getting this in the next day or two, but because we're gonna speed rush this. What happened today was that Jesy, you know, did the tease of the actual music in her story, and they all posted some pictures and all of that, and even the reaction today was not okay, still. So yeah, that's just something I'm not gonna put up with. I highly suggest that you just tell YouTube not to recommend my channel to you anymore. You have that ability. Next time my videos pop up for you, click on the 3 little dots. Anything else you want to add?
No, I'm sitting here nodding and I forget that nobody can see me. No, you pretty much summed it up way better than how I would have.
So yeah, guys, I'm going to focus on supporting her and loving her. And honestly, I'm going to do that a bit more publicly than I probably otherwise would have because of the response that she's getting. So that is something to keep an eye out on. If you got to this point in the podcast, thanks for listening. You know, if you guys still maybe have questions or concerns or don't understand something we said, you can definitely feel free to comment those things. If you're respectful, we'll have a conversation with you. If you're not, we're not going to indulge that. I want to point out too, if you're framing this anything that's happened with confetti, like the confetti era or anything like that, as Jessy's fault, that's included in what I'm talking about as far as things that will get deleted. I'm not going to stand for shaming someone for prioritizing their mental health. That's a big no.
Yeah.
So that is the end of this podcast. Hopefully, you guys will be on the ride with us to just support and love her and just keep everything positive online. And just in this new fandom, we are going to be in a new fandom. I don't know if some of you guys saw this, maybe you did, but on my Instagram, I was doing a whole bunch of polls on a new fandom name for Jesy. The kind of a winner was Jess Mindas, with second place being Lions. A lot of you guys like cheesecakes. We do not like cheesecakes. Here's why. I mean, besides us personally not liking it, the objective reasons we don't like it is that it's a little mixed inside joke. It's not actually about Jesy, and Jesy clearly wants to establish herself on her own. So, you know, just kind of being respectful of that. Also, she's going to gain fans that aren't from Little Mix. And if we all have this like secret inside joke that they don't understand, it's not very inclusive. So we just want to kind of keep that in mind a bit too. So I guess we are throwing our support behind either just Mindas or Lions. Clearly, we don't decide for everyone. We're just throwing our support behind the ones that are popular. And I mean, who knows? Jesy could name us. You know, we just want to be respectful of helping Jesy move forward successfully. I think I keep like almost wrapping things up and then something else pops into mind, but I do think that's actually everything this time. We appreciate you guys listening, and we will see you next time.